Let me say this as clearly as I can. The United States is not and will never be at war with Islam.
All right, there you've got President Obama speaking to leaders during his visit to Turkey just this past Monday. So what does that statement imply? That the United States was at one time at war with Islam?
Well, Goli Amiri is former Assistant Secretary of State for Educational and Cultural Affairs under President Bush. She joins us live this morning from Washington. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
It was a very short statement, but Goli, I know that when you heard that, you had a certain reaction. What was it?
Well, you know, first off, Gretchen, the president's outreach to the Muslim world is quite important. But if you listen to the president's speech, you know, you notice that he omitted the past tense. He didn't say the United States has never been at war with Islam. And by omitting that, it could be construed that the U.S. was actually at some point at war with Islam, and that's not the message that the U.S. wants to or should send. I mean, Americans are smart enough to be able to distinguish between violent extremists and, you know, the 1 other billion silent Muslim majority. What we should say is that a country that was founded on the principles of religious freedom can never be at war with any religion.
Well, you know, historically, though, it goes back to, and a number of people on the left say, this goes back to George Bush. After 9/11, he came out and he talked about the Crusades. And people say, well, clearly he's talking about a crusade about Islam, isn't he? Well, as I read what the president said, it was clearly a crusade against terrorism. He never declared war on Islam. And that was the implicit message in what Mr. Obama said. It's like, you know, forget about what happened during the Bush administration. We're not at war with Islam. Is that how you read it?
Well, you know, I think President Bush himself came out after the fact, and he said that that term was totally misinterpreted. And President Bush time and time again mentioned how, what a peaceful religion Islam was, and, you know, all the humanitarian values that was associated with this religion.
Goli, one of the things that has been made of President Obama's trip abroad was that he was trying to extend the olive branch to everyone. In other words, make everyone feel better about America. And I guess a lot of people were saying, well, he's doing that because he's expecting something in return. Do you expect to see anything in return?
Well, you know, what I'm hoping to see happen is that, you know, because of the president's personal popularity in the Muslim world, now he has the opportunity to actually ask the Muslim world to take personal responsibility for some of their issues and not to blame everything on U.S. policy. And considering how often he's mentioned respect for the Muslim world, he can now ask them for cooperation on a range of issues. For example, he can ask them not to welcome President Bashir of Somalia, who's presided over the massacre of 200,000 and the displacement of 2 million of his own people. He can ask for help in Afghanistan, where the Afghans themselves, a Muslim population, have overwhelmingly said that the Taliban are the biggest danger to their country.
All right. Well, it'll be interesting to see what does happen. Goli Amiri, we thank you very much for joining us today from our D.C. Bureau. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
You bet.
A monument to one of our